Demarcus, and we're back with another episode. I'm actually doing this one without my headphones on. I didn't even realize I didn't have my headphones on, but this is actually good because it allows me sound. I guess you could say what's the outside perspective. I don't know if that even makes sense, but um, yeah, this is different. But honestly, even with the headphones on, I don't even think that I have to have them on because even when I'm speaking, I can't hear anything. So, but anyways, hopefully everybody's doing well, man. Shout out to y'all. If you are a faceteer, man, let me know in the comments. Like I'm definitely going to eventually, as my brand continues to grow, specifically on with my podcast, and I definitely want to make something for my audience. You know, for the people that continue to tap in with me, the ones that I know that do. Like Faceteers has a nice ring to it, so I want to keep that going. So if you are a Faceteer, if you've been able to check out some of my podcast episodes, and definitely if you've been anyone that's been able to come across some of the questions that I've posed within my podcast, you know, respond to those. I believe if you're on the Spotify side, you're going to see where you can interact with some of the polls. I don't know how it does it on the Apple side, but it should let you as well too. But man, if anything, show some love in the comments. You know, let me know in my DMs or on the or on one of the social media platforms, like what episodes have you been able to relate to. You know, if there's anything that you disagree with, like, hey, share it with me. Like that's the point of being able just to have open and real raw discussions. But the main thing is about me talking about my life and my growth and experiences and things that I've had, and just sharing different perspectives and allowing people just to have a space where they can feel their best selves, but also be able to relate to someone that always felt like an outsider, someone that never really molded into, not really, never someone that never molded into the crowd. So that's what the life of a multifaceted is all about. But for today's episode, I definitely want to talk about. But being able to cherish your people and being able to show love to those that mean a lot to you, and you know, it's when I think about as far as it's putting energy into to the people around me, you know, it's something that I cherish for sure, and it's something that has always stuck with me because there's nothing like feeling love in a room, but also the feel of knowing and hearing from people that they're proud of you, and you know, when you think about as far as having genuine people around you, you know, many people may not be able to think of that because it's not common for everyone. And you do have to realize that at some point, when you have people in your corner that care about you and people that put the time and energy into you, like, you got to realize how rare that is. And it's something that you should definitely cherish no matter what. And I can honestly, with everything in me, say that I'm a person that does that through and through. And if somebody is truly showing me love and they're showing me positive energy and stuff like that, and you know they're providing that true genuinity, there's no doubt that I'm going to show it back because that's what my life's been about. And you know, oftentimes, especially when you're growing up, you learn how people start drifting in different directions. You know, you see certain people that want to be cool. You see certain people that go through situations, and it can be traumas where they have to remove themselves from some certain situations. They may like change how their personality is. You have certain people where you know they go in different directions as far as um, just not being cool with people because they're outgrowing people. There's so many different situations, and there's some people that continue to be able to grow and evolve with certain people in their life because everybody around them has found a reason or something to continue to grow. And there's so many different scenarios, right? And everybody's life is going to be different in how that moves and how that molds. You know, if people have been blessed to be able to have dope friends all the way from when they were young, you know, through high school, people that they met in high school, and all the way into adulthood that you're still rocking. Hey, that's dope, you know, because that's definitely rare for a lot of people. But just in general, even if you met people in college and into adulthood, like I feel like life is always ever evolving, and you know, depending on who you are and the type of person that you are, you're going to have different points in your life to where stuff's going to adjust. You know, the way you think, the way you move, especially if you're someone that is pushing yourself to evolve, there's always going to be those periods of times to where You're more than likely going to outgrow situations and outgrow people. And unless you have people around you or in similar spaces that are growing and evolving within themselves, you're just going to be on two different playing fields. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with you going in different directions, but it is an issue with people that you're around while you're growing, the direction that they're going in. If they're going in a direction that's just not uplifting or leveling up in any type of way, you're going to feel a weird type of energy. You're going to feel like even when y'all regroup, then something's going to be off because the way in which they shifted was based on them not really putting in the effort to grow. And you're looking at yourself, you're like, hey, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I've been putting in the time and the energy, and I've been, going in different paths, but I've allowed myself to grow and evolve. And, when you get to that point, it becomes kind of weird. It becomes awkward at times because you're in a position to where you're doing what's best for you, but you're also taking steps that others aren't willing to take and that others haven't recognized yet. And you're taking steps that some people may never recognize, right? And that's not saying that you're better than anyone else, but you're saying that I have a life and I'm going to hold myself accountable, but more importantly, I'm going to put myself in spaces to be able to succeed, but also get out of my comfort zone because that's what's going to help me get away from being stuck in the long term. And kind of circling back, when you think about people that you're connecting with, again, it's a blessing if you're able to evolve with people, but oftentimes you're going to have situations to where stuff starts to fall off. People start to fall off and you start to drift away. And when you look at your life and when it shapes up in that way, you also have to make sure that you don't remove yourself so much from being a human, then now you're on this whole different planet that nobody can be able to relate to you or connect with you. And what I mean by that is, oftentimes in certain environments that we come from, in certain spaces that we've been a part of, we can look at removing ourselves from situations or, in a sense, isolating as a way to move so far away from people and so far away from certain type of energies that we don't even want to be anywhere close to that. But sometimes we may not realize by doing that it could shift us away from even being able to connect with some other people that could be going in the positive direction or could be on our level. But sometimes when you have like a sense of self-awareness where you've really been focused and you've been looking at your surroundings, you've been paying attention to people, sometimes you can be too focused on certain things, and then you may think that you're picking up on something, but it may not be as deep as you're making it. And so there's often times where you have to take a step back and you have to allow yourself space to not only grow, but space to still have an open type of mind. And the whole purpose of what I'm getting to is that as you're growing and evolving, still those same people are going to be that are meant for your life are going to grow with you. And you're going to realize that when you have this mindset in which I'm talking about, because this is something that I've experienced over the course of my life, even when you're going in your direction, there can be people that's not aligned in the same type of way, but there's going to be different ways in how they move that's going to connect with who you are. For instance, you may be someone that's moving to a new city, you got a high-paying job, you're moving up on the career ladder and everything like that. You might have certain people around you that's not necessarily doing that, but the way in which they're moving in their life, they're making strides. You have to realize that it's not about the titles, it's not about where somebody's at in their life in regards to financial status and stuff like that, because the way that somebody's going through their lesson, they could be more involved with their faith. They could be someone that's being able to see things a lot faster, because of their life is going, because life is moving a lot slower for them in certain areas. They may be able to focus on other things a lot faster versus if you may be in a bigger city making more money, things may move so fast where career could only be your only focus. But actually being a human being is what somebody else is focusing on because things are a bit more slow. You have to be able to break that line with worldly stuff. And once you're able to look at people in your life and seeing how they show up for you and seeing how they're evolving with you, that changes the game. And I believe oftentimes, we get, it's easy to want to be in spaces, especially when you're going out networking and something like that. It's always this thing about make sure that you're around people that are smarter than you, people that are, in a sense, what folks will say, doing better than you and all that. But I don't really agree with that because oftentimes for what we think in a sense is, or what we're told that can be smarter or whatever is often based on the status that somebody has for the type of work or whatever that they put in, but that doesn't relate in a sense to your mentality and the type of spirit and stuff that you have, because I know plenty of people where they don't necessarily have the accolades that would put them in certain rooms or they would put them at a high level of status. These are people that I would go to any day and be able to talk about faith, talk about growing, be able to share things within my life. And even if they haven't experienced it to the depth of what I have, they'll still be able to relate in a sense because the love and the genuinity is just going to be there. And more importantly, when you are around people that truly care about you and they embrace you, even as you continue to evolve, no matter how big that a room gets or whatever type of status or level that you get on, they're going to always remember your heart because of how you showed up. And that's the part of being able to connect with people that are on similar type of wavelengths. The directions and things may be different. The routes are going to may be different. The paths may be different. But when you truly are around people that embrace you and the energy and the love is reciprocal, there's nothing that somebody can say that can make you there's nothing that somebody can say that can make you feel a little bit more about how they show up with their action. Because when they show up with the action and when they continue to be able to pour into you, that's way more than somebody just saying a whole bunch of BS all the time. Somebody can just say, oh, you're going to be great, I'm proud of you, you're going to. But the ones that truly show up because in them saying that, it's how they do it. If they're going through turmoil, but they're still showing up for you. If they had different situations in their life where they continue to pour in and things may not be as well, if they're able to go back and help you to replay life situations where they've been able to see you grow and be able to see you evolve, that's love because they're saying, I've seen you in your past versions and now I'm seeing where you are now. And I even see so much in you moving forward. Those are real people. Those are people that truly embrace your existence and people that you want to grow and evolve with. And once I was able to, and I feel like even, let me take a step back, even like when I moved to New York City and stuff like that, before that, I would just always see, I had examples of different types of folks that have moved to bigger cities, that have been able to be around different types of networks and stuff like that, but they wouldn't shrink and they wouldn't try to act like somebody that they wasn't because of them being in a new environment. The love and everything was just still beautiful, and it still is. And there's a few people in my life where it's like the way in which they'll show up, we're continuing to evolve with one another, but also they trust and believe in me enough to where as I continue to grow, they're growing with me. So even if I evolve at a more of a fast pace because of the environment and stuff that I live in, nobody's even looking at it from that standpoint. We're all looking at it as like, hey, we're in our own paths, but like, what are some core things that we can converse on? It can be our faith. Again, that can be us making our dollars to be able to focus on investing or be able to focus on some other types of career moves down the line. That can be us thinking about families in the future. That can be us, hell, being single, going out dating. That can be us having different types of creativity. There's all these different things in which we can connect with, but the main premise is how you're evolving and how people are showing up for you. So kind of going back to the thing that I was saying at the very beginning, when you think about as you continue to be able to be someone that's open and you're allowing yourself to evolve, but you're allowing other people to have their own versions, man, life just continues to shape up in such a beautiful way. And I know for myself, I'm someone where a lot of people in my life will come to me for advice or to talk about things because I'm someone that many people trust and someone that people see as and I can be a very blunt person, but I'm also someone that's going to help somebody to understand the type of decision that they're going to make or that they're thinking about. Like if you bring something to me, because I'm a person, and this is how you evolve as an individual. Like when I was growing up and then going into college and stuff like that, moving based on, like, oftentimes you're going to move based on the DNA of your parents or things that you see or people that you're around. But once you get into adulthood, you start to understand and you start to find ways that make you feel whole, or you start to maybe change things, or get away from certain things that your parents may did. And you may pick up on things that your parents have done as an adult that you're like, okay, I need to add that into my repertoire as I get older. But for me, I know something that many people do in general is like when you're talking to somebody, oftentimes you want to give your perspective, you want to give your opinion, you want to be able to relate to somebody so bad that you're not even really listening to them and realizing that oftentimes people may not even need a solution. They just want to feel heard. And so how it clicked for me is I remember all the times where I wanted to say stuff. Y'all hear it in my episodes. I'm always talking about how I didn't really have spaces to be able to speak up, and where people, didn't want to listen to my perspectives, or even at times as an adult where it's like you can feel that you're being shut out because people are trying to follow crowds or whatever. So you know what I did? I said, okay, let me see how it feels to listen to people that believe in me, because these are the same folks that are going to show love and care for me. They're going to be the ones that's going to ride for me. So let me show up by action. And this is the hard part. Oftentimes, it's hard when we experience something in a negative way, but then we have to flip it and we have to be that version for ourselves in order to receive it. Ain't that crazy how life works? And that's just a huge lesson for me in my life. It's like, and I think because of my leadership and because of how I move and me pushing myself out of my comfort zones, honestly, I feel like those are some of my purposes that God's given me, because oftentimes I'm like, dang, I don't maybe have examples of somebody else showing me how to do this. Somebody else has like said, I want to flip the script and then move away from this old way of doing things and change that. I had to be a person that had to do that, because there would be different times where I was like, man, I'm not liking how this is going, but I see people saying that they don't like how things are going, but they stay in complacent, or they continue to do the same things because they don't want to change. I said, you know what, I don't want to be like that. So as I continue to be able to grow and evolve, I said, one thing that I'm going to do is, and actually two things. If somebody comes to me, I'm going to listen to what they got to say, but I'm also, and this is the thing that has made it so much easier for myself, because we got to think, sometimes when you can be someone that has a lot to say, you haven't really had the spaces to do it, you're not trying to speak up to try to like tell somebody what to do, or try to like force somebody to make the decision that you want them to make. You just want to help so much that you're thinking the more that you say and the more that you're willing to help is going to be helpful to them. And oftentimes it's just not how it goes. So for me, I often ask people, I'll say, okay, I'm down to listening to you. If I'm hearing them out, I say, is this something you want me to just listen to, or do you mind if I give my perspective? And I've realized that opens up the door in such a smooth way, because I have some friends who are like, DeMarcus, I called you because I wanted your perspective. But what helps me within my mindset is to say, you know what, let me still say that, because it allows me to feel more calm about the situation. Because there's often times where people are looking at me to answer things for them, or me to figure things out and be solution based, but I know how much energy that took out of me by trying to show up for everybody, and then you're giving energy to people that don't deserve it. So by me going and ask that at the very beginning, or sometimes throughout the conversation, that allows me to prepare myself. And so another thing is too, that even when I'm out with people, I try my best and I truly push to not be on my phone at all. Straight eye contact, always listening, hearing everything. That's a huge thing. Even if I'm on dates or whatever, like sometimes I can pick up my phone in the past and not be paying attention as much to people and having to ask a question multiple times. Man, I literally just said to myself, DeMarcus, when you out, put your phone down and just listen. Enjoy the conversation, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the space that you're in with people. And I'm telling you, like, a lot of this stuff that I did was back in college, and I was continuing to be able to evolve in ways where I would challenge myself to do different things like this. Because I knew that for myself, if I could take the time to work on it then and continue to evolve, as I became an adult, I'd be able to break out of some of those habits that I had, or some things that I've seen elders do, or family or friends or whatever do that never were able to change. And it's not even that they can't, but you have to say to yourself, I'm going to actually sit down and focus on this and work on this. And the whole premise of what I'm getting to within this conversation is to say, as you're going through life and you're growing with people, make sure it's people that you can that's truly showing love to you and is real genuine love. Because if you're someone that's doing that and you're around people that do it, I feel truly in my heart that you're not going to have regrets on how you show up and the love and stuff that you have for people in your life, because you're already doing that. And I know for me, and I can honestly say this, for the real ones that I'm locked in with, and they know, the real ones that, especially during this season that I've been in all year and just in the past couple years, there's been some ones that were close that we're not as close anymore. That's perfectly fine. That's great to me. But there's also been some that I've been connected with, and some that I was close with that people may not have known, where we got even closer because of the different things that we went through in our life. But in showing up for one another, it's allowed us to be able to break the mold and say, you know what, I've got to continue to be able to pour into those that pour into me and give less to the ones that aren't, or the ones that aren't reciprocating energy. And I kid you not, there's people in my life, we've went through different type of situations in different ways, and some similar. But the love and the genuinity and how the conversations flow, it don't matter if somebody, again, is at a higher status level or making more money or whatever, because the whole principle of what we're going through is on a similar type of stage. But we're able to grow with one another. Heck, I have, I have a friend of mine where, as far as like life experiences and maybe, as far as emotional maturity and stuff like this this individual goes through, like, they've learned at like a lot slower pace. But you got to think about stuff that's went on in their life, and different types of disadvantages they've had, as far as how they've grown up and stuff like that. But the beauty of it is, this individual always shows love, always talks about God, and truly cherishes me and shows up for me in such a dope way. And I got other friends that do that too. And that's the beauty of it, because one thing that many people in this world want to feel is felt. You want to feel felt. Like, you want to feel heard, you want to feel seen. And you have so many people out here that are literally spending money to try to find love, trying to find happiness. They're trying to find, be a part of all these different things, hoping to find people. But the thing that they're not looking at is they're not bringing genuinity to the situation, because you're going in trying to look for certain types of people or certain type of style or whatever, but you're not even going in with your real raw self and seeing who you can connect with. It's the same thing in how I look at dating. It's like, I'm never out here trying to go and trying to find love, because if I'm trying to go and search for love, then I can be looking for it in all the wrong places. Like Jaheim said, looking for love in all the wrong places. Been a while, seen a lot of pretty faces, and I know that I'm the one for you. So with that, it's like, I've always looked at it as, and I swear, as I continue to evolve with just different things in my life, even as far as job-wise, as far as opportunities, when I continue to work on myself and continue to evolve, things show up for me that God has placed in front of me, and things show up that are for me because of the work I'm already doing on myself. Oftentimes, when people are trying to like search for a relationship, or they're trying to like search for somebody to fall in love with, I don't think that they love themselves enough. Because if you are truly loving yourself and you're truly embracing who you are and embracing the people around you, you're going to run into someone or people that you can maybe see as a potential partner. And when I say people, I'm not saying that like having more than one partner. I'm just saying, like, you're going to run into different styles of individuals that can maybe be a fit. But you got to continue doing the work on yourself first, and enjoy and love being alone, to the point to where if something doesn't happen, you don't feel as if that's a piece of you missing, because you should want to be whole within yourself and whole within the spirit. Anything that else comes into your life should be an extension, and that's just how I look at it. You can disagree with me, but I look at it as there's no reason to go out and search for love and go out and search for these other things, because a human can make any decision that they want to and cut ties at any moment. But the love that you have for yourself, and if you're someone that believes in the holy power, like, that's always going to be there. You can always evolve and become a better person. People can come in and out of your life because they have the decision to do that. They can make their own decision to do whatever they want to. But you have to ultimately make the decision to say that, as far as for love and everything that you are looking for, that you find out within yourself first, and then everything else is an extension. I'm not looking for any of my friends to come in and love me in a certain type of way, or whatever. But because of how I continue to show up over time, because of the person that I am, and because of the person that I've evolved to, it allows other people to want to show up in those ways because they feel like it's safe to be able to have a space to do that, and vice versa. Because other people have shown love to me and shown real raw energy, it allows me to show up as my best self, even during times where people have done me wrong, done me dirty, or whatever. It allows me to not have the bitterness, because I'm the person that's at fault for giving my energy to the people that didn't matter. But that's because when you go through life, you have to go through those different types of times where you realize for yourself, hey, I've been putting too much energy over here. I got to put energy into the people that matter. And so I know for a fact that